stood frozen for a few seconds. Are you sure? I counted the money myself. You should be thankful to your God. Someone out there is watching over you. She nodded slowly, tears forming in her eyes. Yes, thank you, God. As she walked to work that day, her heart felt light. For the first time in months, she didn't have to worry about rent. But she kept wondering who paid it and why. When she arrived at work, she went straight to the back hallway for her usual break. That was where she saw the cleaner again, David, still in disguise. She smiled warmly at him. Good morning, sir. Good morning, he replied. You won't believe what happened today. What is it? He asked, pretending not to know. My rent was paid. 6 full months. No name, no explanation. The landlord just said it was anonymous. David looked surprised. Wow, that's amazing. God truly works in mysterious ways. She nodded, her voice cracking. I just wish I could hug the person who did it. Just to say thank you. He smiled gently. I'm sure they already know how thankful you are, and maybe one day you'll meet them. She laughed softly. Maybe. Then she looked up at him. You know, you're different too. Most people in this company don't treat cleaners like people, but you always listen. You always greet back. David gave a simple reply. It costs nothing to be kind. She nodded. That's true. Then her phone buzzed. She excused herself politely and left. David stood still for a moment. Linda, he whispered to himself, you have no idea. David had never looked forward to a workday the way he did now. Every morning he came early and started cleaning, but his heart was drawn to one thing. Linda. She had become the highlight of his day. She was always calm, always kind. She never looked down on anyone. Even though her clothes were old and her lunch was small, her heart was rich. David could see it every time she smiled. One afternoon, after a long morning of mopping the hallways, David returned to a corner of the staff cafeteria to rest. Linda came in quietly as usual and sat at her favorite spot. When she saw David alone, wiping sweat from his forehead, she walked over. You haven't eaten? She asked. David shook his head gently. Not yet. She didn't ask questions. She opened her small food container and pushed it toward him. Please eat. I already had something earlier. David was shocked. No, I can't take your food. Please, she insisted with a warm smile. I want you to. I don't have much, but I can share. He looked at her for a moment, his heart full. Slowly, he picked up the spoon. Thank you, Linda. You don't know what this means to me. She sat beside him quietly, watching him eat. I've seen the way people treat you, she said softly. They don't know how to be kind. But I see you every day, working harder than anyone else, never complaining. David paused. You're the only one who sees me. I see more than people think, she replied with a small laugh. They both smiled and sat in peaceful silence. But not everyone was like Linda. The company's general manager, Mr. Charles, was a proud and boastful man. He wore fine suits, carried expensive phones, and walked around like a king. Most of the staff feared him. Some women admired him for his wealth and influence. But Linda always kept her distance. That made Charles curious. One day he called her to his office. You're a beautiful girl, Linda, he began. Thank you, sir, she replied, unsure of where the conversation was going. I've been watching you. You're different. You don't talk much, you don't beg, and you don't throw yourself at men like the others. Linda said nothing. Charles leaned back and smiled. I can give you a better life. I own this company, you know? All the cars outside, all the money that runs this place. I'm the one behind it. She looked confused. You own Bright Tech. Of course, he lied confidently. The name on the paperwork isn't mine, but I control everything. The board listens to me. The staff obey me. If you stay close to me, your life will change. I'll increase your salary, buy you better clothes, and you won't have to suffer again. Linda remained calm. Thank you, sir. But I'm not interested. Charles frowned. You think I'm lying? You don't believe I can take care of you? It's not about belief, she said gently. I'm just not interested. He laughed coldly. So you prefer to walk to work, wear second-hand clothes, and eat plain food for the rest of your life? Linda stood. It's better than pretending to love someone for their money. She walked out of the office, leaving him stunned and angry. From that day on, Charles began treating her coldly. He gave her more work than others. He spoke to her with harsh words in meetings. But Linda didn't care. She stayed strong, kept working hard, and continued to smile. David, from the corner of his world, noticed everything. He saw the way Charles looked at Linda. He saw her walk out of his office with a straight face, holding her dignity like a crown. That afternoon, while Linda was on break in the hallway, David walked up to her. "Are you okay?" he asked. She smiled. "Yes." "Why?" "You look tired." "I'm fine," she said. "I just had a long day." David paused. "I saw you give away your food yesterday. You didn't have to." "I know," she said softly, "but I wanted to. There's something peaceful about giving. It reminds me that I still have something to offer, even when life is hard." He looked at her with quiet admiration. "You have more to offer than you know." She chuckled. "You sound like someone who knows me better than I know myself." "Maybe I do," he replied gently. She looked at him for a moment, then asked, "What about you? Who are you really?" David smiled. "Just a cleaner, for now." Linda nodded slowly. "Well, you're a very special cleaner." As she walked back to her desk, David stood still for a while, looking after her. He whispered under his breath, "And you're not just special. You're rare." It was a quiet afternoon. Most workers had gone for lunch, but Linda was at her desk, finishing some reports. Suddenly, she looked up and saw Mr. Charles, the manager, walking toward her with a proud smile on his face. He held a brand new phone in his hand, a shiny smartphone still in its box. "I noticed you've been using that old phone for a long time," Charles said smoothly, placing the new one on her desk. "Take this. It's yours now. Be mine, baby." Linda froze. She looked at the phone, then at Charles. "Sir, no thank you." He raised an eyebrow. "Why not?" "You don't like it." "It's not about the phone. I just can't give you what you want," she said clearly. "Please, look for someone else." Charles laughed. "I don't want someone else. I want you." Linda stood. "I'm sorry, sir. Never. I'm not interested." Charles's smile disappeared. His eyes turned cold. "You poor thing. Do you know how lucky you are that I'm even talking to you?" he hissed. "You'll regret this. I will make sure you get fired." He picked up the phone and stormed out of the office. Linda stood there frozen. Her heart beat fast. Her hands trembled. She felt weak, not because she was scared of Charles, but because she didn't want to lose the only job she had worked so hard to get. Moments later, she quietly walked to the janitor area. David was mopping near the back hallway. When she saw him, she stopped and wiped her face. "Linda? What's wrong?" David asked immediately. I can't do this anymore," she said, her voice shaking. "I just want peace." David dropped the mop. "Talk to me." She took a deep breath and explained everything. How Charles tried to bribe her with a phone, how he called her baby, and how he threatened to get her fired. David clenched his fists. "He did what?" She placed her hand gently on his arm. "Please don't go to him. I know how hard it was before I got this job. I don't want to lose it. He's the manager. He can do anything." David looked into her eyes. He crossed a line. "Let me go and talk to him." "Please," she whispered. "He will get you sacked." But David had heard enough. Without saying another word, he turned and marched out of the hallway. Linda ran after him, but he was already heading straight to Charles's office. He knocked once and stepped in before Charles could answer. Charles looked up, surprised. "You? What do you want?" David didn't waste time. "Stay away from Linda." Charles narrowed his eyes. "Excuse me." "I said stay away from her," David repeated louder. "Keep your dirty hands and lies far from her." Charles stood, clearly shocked. "Who do you think you're talking to? Do you know who I am?" David didn't blink. "I know exactly who you are. A coward. A bully who preys on innocent girls. You think you can scare her with threats and cheap gifts? Not while I'm here." Charles laughed bitterly. "You must be mad. You're just a cleaner. A fool in slippers. How dare you come here and talk to me like this?" "You don't scare me," David said coldly. "You can't do anything to me." Charles pointed at him. "I will make sure you're out of this company by tomorrow morning. I will call the owner myself. You will be gone before the sun rises." David smiled. You can do nothing. And soon you'll realize that. But hear this well. Stay away from Linda. If I see you near her again, you'll wish you were never born. Charles stepped back slowly. There was something strange about the confidence in David's voice. For a poor cleaner, he was too bold, too calm, too sure. Who exactly are you? Charles asked, confused. David didn't answer. He simply turned and walked out of the office, leaving Charles frozen, angry, and full of questions. Linda waited nervously in the hallway. When she saw David return, she rushed to him. What happened? She asked. Did he do anything? David looked at her gently. Number, but I did. I told him to leave you alone, and he will. She looked scared. David, what if he really gets you fired? David smiled softly. Let him try. He'll be the one to leave, not me. Linda looked at him strangely. There was something in his eyes that felt bigger than what she saw on the outside. Something powerful, something hidden. But she didn't ask. She simply said, "Thank you." And he replied, "I'll always protect you, no matter what it takes." After a long day at work, Linda returned to her small apartment. But when she reached her door, she stopped. Right there on the floor in front of her door was a small bouquet of flowers and a brand new phone box, neatly wrapped with a red ribbon. Tucked beneath the ribbon was a small letter. She picked it up, heart beating fast. On the front of the note, in neat handwriting, were the words, "From me to you, your secret admirer." Linda stood frozen. She looked left and right. No one was there. The corridor was quiet. She opened her door quickly, picked up the items and stepped inside. Her hands trembled as she placed them on the table. Who would do this? She whispered. Why? She didn't sleep well that night. Her mind kept thinking about the flowers, the phone and the letter. She was not the type of girl who received surprises. She had always lived quietly, kept to herself and avoided attention. So, who could be watching her now? The next morning at work, she waited until break time, then quietly walked to the back hallway where she always found David. He was there, as usual, gently mopping the floor. "David," she called softly. He looked up and smiled. "Good morning, Linda." She stepped closer. "Something strange happened last night." David's smile faded. "What is it?" "I got home and found flowers and a phone at my door. There was a letter too. It said, 'From me to you, your secret admirer.'" David paused, looking so surprised. "Really?" She nodded quickly. "Yes, I'm scared. I don't know who is watching me. I want to report it to the police." David dropped the mop and walked closer. "No, Linda, don't go to the police. Not yet." "But I don't like it. I don't want strangers leaving things at my door." David nodded gently. "I understand, but it might not be dangerous. Maybe it's someone who really admires you quietly and is just afraid to say it." She looked at him nervously. "I'll throw the flowers and the phone away. I don't want them." "No," David said quickly. "Don't throw it away." "Then you take them," she said. "You can give the phone to someone who needs it." David smiled. "No, Linda, it's not for me. It's for you. You should keep it." She shook her head. "I'm not using it." "That's fine," he said softly. "Just keep it. And if it ever happens again, we can go to the police together." She looked at him with soft eyes. "You'll come with me?" "Of course," he said. "Always." She relaxed a little, then gave a small laugh. "This is strange. I've never received gifts like this." David chuckled. "You women are lucky. Someone just buys you gifts out of nowhere. Flowers, phones, surprises." Linda laughed. "Not all women. I'm not used to this kind of thing." "Well, enjoy it," he said with a playful smile. "Some of us men are still waiting for someone to buy us groundnuts." They both laughed. For the first time that day, Linda felt calm. David's words comforted her. His presence gave her peace. Even though she didn't know the sender, something inside her said she was safe. Linda had just finished arranging some files when she received a message from the receptionist. It read, "Please report to the manager's office immediately." Her heart skipped. She didn't know if it was good news or another trick from Mr. Charles. She walked slowly to his office. "Come in," Charles said when she knocked. She stepped inside, unsure of what to expect. Charles leaned back in his chair, smiling strangely. "Congratulations, Linda," he said. She blinked. "Sir? You've been promoted." Linda stared at him, confused. "Promoted? Me?" "Yes," he replied smoothly. "You've been moved to the senior technical assistant level. You'll now have a larger office, a better salary, and an official apartment and a car." Her jaw dropped. "Wait, what? Is this a joke?" Charles gave a fake laugh. "No, it's real. The boss just called me this morning and gave the order himself. He said to process everything immediately." Linda's eyes filled with tears of joy. "Oh my God, thank you, sir. Thank you so much." Without waiting for much more, she smiled brightly, turned around and rushed out of the office with excitement. The moment the door closed behind her, Charles's smile disappeared. He banged his fist on the table. "Who is this stupid boss?" he shouted. "How can he just call and promote someone like that without asking me first?" He stood and paced his office angrily. "This Linda, there's something going on. She must be sleeping with him. The same thing she refused to give me, she's giving it to him in secret. That's why he's promoting her." He clenched his teeth, eyes full of envy and rage. "I must get her. If she doesn't give it to me willingly, I'll take it by force. She thinks she's smart. I'll show her I'm smarter." Meanwhile, Linda ran happily through the hallway, heading straight to the back area where she knew David would be cleaning. She found him wiping the glass doors. "David," she called with excitement. He turned, surprised by the joy in her voice. "Linda, you look like someone who just won a lottery." She laughed. "Guess what happened?" "What?" "I just got promoted." David's eyes lit up. "You what?" "Yes, I've been moved to senior assistant. I'm getting an apartment and even an official car. Can you believe it?" David smiled widely. "That's amazing, Linda. I'm so happy for you." "I still can't believe it myself," she said, holding his hand for a second. "I've worked so hard. For once, life is smiling at me." David looked at her warmly. "You deserve every bit of it, and more." She smiled back. "Now that I've been promoted, get ready. I'm going to spoil you, my friend." He burst into laughter. "Thank you, my best friend. I can't wait to eat your money." They both laughed, the sound echoing through the quiet hallway. It was a quiet Saturday afternoon when Linda invited David to her new apartment. The place was fresh, peaceful, and well furnished. Everything was set up nicely. When David walked in, he paused at the doorway and looked around slowly. "Wow," he said. "This place is so beautiful." Linda smiled. "Thank you. I'm still settling in, but I'm grateful." David nodded as he took a seat. He looked calm, but deep inside he was nervous. He had been holding something in his heart for days, and now he knew the moment had come. They talked about work, laughed about random things, and shared stories from their childhood. After a while, he sat up straighter. His heart beat faster. "Linda," he said gently, "please don't be angry. I need to tell you something." She looked at him curiously. "Okay, what is it?" He looked into her eyes. "I like you, a lot. I don't just like you, I love you." Linda blinked, surprised. Her expression changed slowly. "You love me?" David nodded. "Yes. I've felt this way for a while now, but I didn't want to rush or make things awkward. I've watched how kind you are, how you treat people, how strong you are. It's not about your new position or the house or the car, it's about your heart." Linda looked down at her hands. She was quiet for a moment, then said, "David, I wasn't expecting that." "I know," he said softly, "but I wanted you to know the truth." "You're my friend and I care about you," she said honestly. "But I don't know if it's love yet. I need time to think." David nodded. "I understand. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere." She smiled weakly. "Thank you for being honest." They spent the rest of the evening talking like old friends, but something had shifted. Linda felt the weight of his words. Her heart was now filled with questions and thoughts she hadn't prepared for. By Monday morning, Linda returned to work, still thinking about what David had said. She had barely slept all weekend. Her mind kept replaying his voice, his expression, and the feeling in her chest when he said those words. "I love you." She liked David. He was different from anyone she had known. But love, she wasn't sure yet. Later that afternoon, during her lunch break, Linda sat in the staff lounge with one of her co-workers, a lady from HR named Sheila. They weren't close friends, but they spoke from time to time. "You've been quiet all morning," Sheila said. "What's going on?" Linda hesitated, then feeling a need to talk to someone, she whispered, "A friend of mine told me he loves me." Sheila's eyes lit up. "Who? Do I know him?" Linda nodded. "Yes." "David." Sheila blinked.